Day 57. Learn how to apologize. I think this is one that there are going to be some people that probably don't agree with me, and that's fine. That's fine. Um Hear me out. Hear me out. So, I think that not I think, I know that there's this pervading belief. I don't know if I said that correctly, but very prevalent belief in corporate structure, corporate society, if you will, that apologizing makes you look weak. I've literally heard of trainings where people are like, I never apologize in emails. These are all the different things that I do. And I get that. I do get that to an extent. Um, however, however, I'm also a firm believer that as human beings, we're going to screw up as human beings and as human beings in business. And I promise you, I'm going somewhere with this because I also know that I'm not the only one that has this sentiment. So again, just bear with me. There are times where we screw up in business, right? In our relationships. And because the relationships that you build and the network that you build in business are so important, and because your reputation follows you, and that's the one thing that you actually have 100% control over, actually, is your reputation. And there are times when a simple apology is all that is needed to move things along, to show that you respect the person enough to admit your own failure and then keep it pushing. I don't know how many times, I do have one very good example that I'm going to share in a moment, but I don't know how many times I've been in these situations where the presenter or the person who I was supposed to meet with, or the person doing the intro, anyway, where someone was late, or someone didn't offer like a greeting and was like rude right off the bat. And I'm not even talking to me sometimes, but I'm just like, there are times when it's like, just say the apology. And it's so obvious that this person doesn't want to apologize for fear of like appearing weak. Well, let me tell you something. The more and more that you double down in your bullshit, the weaker you look. Okay? There is a thing called being the bigger person, and I believe it also applies in business. And here's the thing. Okay, this is not out in the play yard, when you don't get along with the kids. This is not you and your sibling. This is business. So nobody says you have to mean it. Yeah, I said that. You don't even have to mean the apology, right? But sometimes literally just voicing that fact, voicing that acknowledgement and moving things along does so much more to preserve an important relationship than not doing it. So obviously this is something I feel very strongly about. I think that this is something that we fail a lot in, and it very much falls right in line with this whole tough individual corporate America structure. And it's something I really don't like. It's incredibly trashy. So I'm going to end with just a quick example. So I was working one-on-one with a consultant, and I had hired this person to build, it doesn't even matter, but we worked on a project together, and there were parts of the project that he had agreed to do pro bono, and all he wanted from me was a review. So the parts of the pro bono, it was so obvious that he didn't care as much as the rest of it. One time he came 10 minutes late, another time he came 20 minutes late, literally. I've talked about valuing your time, and I'm the type, that's the one thing that just really, really pisses me off, is when somebody wastes your time. And I'll never forget, hopping into the meeting, and I'm sitting there waiting, and he doesn't even offer any kind of acknowledgement, to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. It wore on me. It really it really irritated me that he didn't acknowledge it at all. And then when it came time for my part, right, to write the review, here he expected me to write this glowing review. And I actually had the courtesy to tell him, if I go ahead and write this review, this is what I'm going to write. So actually, you probably don't want me to write this review. And he still doubled down and still wouldn't apologize and left in a huff, all pissed off. And that's a colleague that I'm glad that that happened, because that's not somebody I want in my network. But had you just taken the time to literally respect me enough, right? For all intents and purposes, that's somebody that I could still be working with, but I'm glad it's not. So folks, learn to apologize.